careful who you call Papa. Because God might be doing something fresh with you. You might be a young prophet, but don't forget that there are many old prophets. An old prophet is not one that is old. An old prophet, according to God, is one that God has stopped speaking to a long time ago. There are some people that are still holding the fame of their past. Jesus has left them. And then look at you, a new breed rising. And then they now come and say, we are the keepers of the land. If you were the keeper of the land, Jesus will not send me here. How come Jesus wants to do something in Uyo? He's sending another minister. Anytime God sends a prophet outside of the land, it means that the prophets in the land are compromised. So sometimes Elijah the Tishbite will come out. He will be raised independently because he has to come and reset the broken altars of God. There was a young prophet that God was sending to go and speak to a king, and this guy came out with blazing fire. We never knew his name, but we knew he was a young prophet because he still had God clean and clear. God told him, say, go to that land and confront the king. And then he went to the land and went straight to the king. And he said, oh king, here is the word of the Lord. And then the king lifted up his hand to smite him. And the man pointed. He said, let that hand be withered. And the Bible said the king's hand was withered. And he preached and delivered the word. And God gave him an instruction. He said, in that land, don't eat anything. Don't stop anywhere. Don't even spend the night there. He had a clear-cut instruction. And whilst he was on his way, an old prophet chased after him. Somebody say an old prophet. For some of you that are coming up in God and you are looking for men of God to endorse you, may you not find an old prophet too. You are singing and then they see that this lady's voice is about to bring light to a generation. They know God has left them. And then they say, let me be giving him platform. You become my son. And then because you lack discernment, one of the things that destroys discernment is honor. Nothing kills discernment like honor. Don't ever forget what God has told you because you want to honor a man. Then the old prophet came. He said, we have heard your tales. He said, well, God has done mighty things through my life. I know you might have heard my name. And I said, yes, I have heard you. You are like a mentor to me, talking to a man who God has left. You are like a mentor to me. I read your books. I heard your messages. And I don't know, God just gave me this small word. I've come to deliver it. I'm going. He said, whilst you were going, an angel of the Lord spoke to me. He said, come to my house. He said, thank you, sir. Thank you for the privilege. And he forgot what God had told him. A church invited me in this city. A very big church. One of the biggest in Uyo. And when the guy told me, I knelt down to pray and Jesus said, don't go. He said, don't go. Because what we are doing is a pure breed that God is raising. And we cannot afford to corrupt. It's not pride. You have pride, but you are a Puritan. The remnant that have escaped from Judah. They shall take root downward. By discernment, you have to maintain the integrity and the purity of what God has told you. And Jesus said, don't go. The young man went back and ate. And whilst he was eating, his judgment was now administered by the same false prophet. The prophet now said, because you have disobeyed God, he said, your bones will be given to the lions. You will not sleep at the place of your bed. The same person that lured him to disobey God was the same person that brought his judgment. There are some of you that if you go through the route of falsehood, you will not come out. The person that lead you to falsehood will come out and preach a sermon about you. When they came to Uyo, they were shouting. They were shouting that God has given them the city. All these young men that don't know the technology or the things that sustain men. And then you that came to bring the city out of darkness become their next sermon. The sermon of how a young mighty man fared. They are mighty men that God sent to this city. Truly they came to born for Zion. But you see, they met wrong men. They met men that were magicians and sorcerers in Egypt. And then they bowed. Let me not return to Egypt, oh God. Oh God. When I was about to come to you, two witches appeared in my room. And then they told me, they said, if you die us, we'll kill you. Say, stay where you are, we'll stay where we are. And I knew that they were from the marine. And then I laughed. In December, they came to attack again. I said, Lord, you know you're the one that sent me here. That was when he told me. He said, remember I told you I've sent you as a father in this land. Beware of fathers. Will you have come to cry? There is a Puritan generation that will not. There is a generation called the Joshua and Caleb that will not accustom themselves to the wine of Babylon. That's the kind of generation that will call out evil. That will call out the atrocities of the land until righteousness be seen again.